Namaste Gaurav.
Namaste,
Welcome back.
Deepti ji.
Trust everyone's been fine, taking care of your health. Are also enjoyed your break. And also, I think some of you have tried catching up with the classes. I could see that someone's regularly listening to that, so both revising. So if anybody has, then thank you. I'm sure it'll only help in the long run to be grounded in the knowledge a little better, because you see the nature of this knowledge is such that as the material keeps getting collected, the perception of what you've learned keeps getting in the background. So in that sense, a little revision is always advisable. So welcome back, Divya and Preeti. And I think let us start the class. For now, I'm sure everybody else will just join in, whoever wants to. So this is our second text in the course of... I'm sorry. Nez, you have to go to the Facebook page. I'm sorry.
Okay, Deepti ji. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I was trying to find the
sorry,
link,
stuck.
but I was trying
It's
to
on
find
the Facebook page.
Okay, I'll just go look for it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. I'm trying to... this is like a course that has got started already. So all of you who've done Tattva Bodh by now, because you were all fresh into this knowledge, so there's a lot of onus on the one who's imparting this knowledge to deliver it in such a way that it takes you through to the final perception as best as possible. So I resist in the beginning stages too much of an inflow of simultaneous different things, because this is very, very, in my vision, it's something which is very precise. It's like if you want to cut through a diamond, then you don't look at an axe, to cut it. You know that you'll need something very subtle, because diamond is a very hard material. So that subtlety is what you would approach with. So Vedanta is a subject like that. And because it is like saying you don't start doing PhD before you have done your high school also. So in that sense, Tattva Bodh was the first text which was covering a Vedantic material in an overview. What all comes in Vedantic study? It covered almost all the topics as an introduction, as a introduction to the subject, that as you keep doing more and more, the clarity will keep improving further and grounding it. The second thing after this is that most of the people who in the world attend Vedanta classes, many times people are not very sure what they want it for, because itna fail gaya hai material bhi, there's so much available. So people are not very certain why they want to study Vedanta and what is the approach with which they should come to Vedanta. It's like, if I have a model of a building, before I make a building, I make a model. That model tells me how it will be in real three-dimensional format. I mean, with the real material, worldly material. In the same way, Vedanta is something that you need to fix your vision correctly. क्या चाहिए मुझको Vedantic study से? It's certainly not something that is 5 days, 15 days, 15 years. There is no time limit to this learning. So if your vision is correctly planted internally, then the study is a smooth sail till the very end without any doubts and confusions, much other than what the subject would clarify. So in that sense, after a lot of contemplation and maybe experience of teaching, I felt the second subject that should be taken up should definitely be Upadesa Sara, because it helps to set the vision. And what is that vision? That vision is that Vedantic study is purely moksha shastra. And moksha is not a word which is like a very clear word to people. It takes us time even to understand मोक्ष कहते किसको है. हमें freedom चाहिए किस चीज से, हमें चाहिए भी कि नहीं चाहिए, etc. etc. So as much as we can come closer to understanding that it's a moksha shastra, we realize that entire Veda, the whole of Veda, which is how many verses, how many shlokas, mantras basically, how many mantras, thousands of mantras, all of them are ultimately coming down to how do you develop yourself? What is the way to internally develop yourself? What is the way to internally harness your own growth, your own potential, your own qualities, your own characteristics, your own characters, building it, building a character kind of a thing. How would one do it? For which you yourself is the subject of inquiry. What is Vedanta really talking about? It is talking about your internal growth, and for which who's going to be the topic of study? किसके बारे में है ये ज्ञान? What is the topic? If I have to study physics, what is the topic? The topic is the material world. If I'm studying biology, what is the topic? The topic is molecular, biological, etc. If I'm studying Vedanta, what is the topic? That topic, fixing it. I am the topic of the study. If I have fixed that vision कि मैं ही हूँ इस study का object, means whatever I will learn from this study will be pertaining to me and everything to do with me. Then starts the journey. Then starts the learning. So what really does Upadesha Sara do? When you start studying a text, like supposing if you start straight from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is 18 chapters. Because of it being 18 chapters and weekly classes, and sometimes one misses, attention is elsewhere, other things have to be done together. There is a lot of bifurcation of focus and attention. By the time 18 chapters will finish, वो second chapter तक ही first आधा भूल जाता है, third तक second भूल जाता है, करते 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 अगर 18 खत्म हो भी गए by some anugraha of Ishvara, few years also, even if it takes, you have to then pick up the essence of the knowledge before you can even start to say, okay, now this. So what is Vedanta study about? It's a study about your own self. मेरे बारे में. It's me. That is the topic. That is the entire topic of the study. However many years and janmas it takes, the topic will not change. However well I know myself, I will have more to know about myself. It culminates only when I know myself as Brahman, which is moksha. And those two words, Brahman and moksha, today seem to be absolutely not applicable to me, averagely speaking, about all of us. ये मोक्ष और ब्रह्मन बाकी सब उसके नीचे नीचे कुछ भी हो वो बता दो. That maybe is relatable. That means what? Right from the very beginning, if my focus is there, it will talk to me only about myself. Then comes the point that in this process of self-learning, however, whatever it takes, doesn't matter. What is that overview? क्या करेगा? So supposing, as I said, 18 chapters करके, then I would have to do my essential learning, pick up my essence. What have I gathered? What is the wisdom I gather from here? What is it that is applicable to me, etc., etc.? Or what is it that it's telling me, even if it's not applicable? It takes a long time. So, tatparya, nishchaya. Tatparya means deriving the essence. So whatever I study, I must learn to derive the essence of that study. And what is the object of the topic of the study? Me. That means the essence must culminate to me. It must always direct towards me. So as I go on learning, I realize that there will be a lot of things in the pursuit of Gyan, Atma Gyan in specific, that I will have to make, it's like tweaking your thoughts. How do we tweak our thoughts? I'll have to maybe tweak a thought here, tweak an attitude there, tweak something. All of this I learn with the help of a guidance that Gyan is giving. Vedantic study is giving me that guidance, and I start tweaking within, because I know the tatparya is what I have to arrive. And tatparya ultimately is going to be Shastra. When a teacher tells you, he says Tattvamasi. When you have derived the tatparyam, what will you say? Aham Brahmasmi. Till then, knowledge is not complete. Till then, course can be completed, information can be completed, but your self-learning is not complete. So this is why Upadesha Sara, even though it is not in the technical term, a course of Vedantic study, it doesn't form. If you remember, I'll come to this very soon. I'll share the screen. We did Prasthanatrayi in the Tattvabodh classes in the beginning. Prasthanatrayi is the course material. Upadesha Sara is not a technical course of Vedantic study. But because it gives the entire range of what Veda covers in just 30 verses, means lakhs of verses, mantras. In these 30 verses, you've got your route map, guide map मिल गया कि वेदों का सारा tatparya is in these 30 verses. Therefore, because it will tell us what is the purpose of Vedic study in a nutshell. So Tattvabodha gave us material of Vedanta in a nutshell, objectively. Upadesha Sara will tell us how we connect it to ourselves for self-growth. And so the second topic I have chosen is Upadesha Sara. This can be called as a prakarna grantha. Prakarna grantha, I will introduce the introductory text of Vedanta Shastra. Are you able to see the slide? Can you see the screen?
Yes, Deepti ji, we can see.
Okay, great. But before we get into that, this particular text does not have a invocation like you had in Tattvabodha. A Vedantic study normally has an invocation. Invocation is considered as Mangalacharanam. Mangalacharanam means invoking Mangalam. Because this text is a different in the sense it's written by Ramana Maharshi. The first mantra of this, the first verse of this book itself is considered as a Mangalacharanam. But because we are into Vedantic study also, I thought now is the time when we should do this invocation in detail first before we get into the text. We had done this as a chanting, but in details with a meaning was not done before. So for all those who are new to this is the shanti patha. A patha means repetition, invoking shanti. Shanti can be how much shanti is one needing? As much that my mind can be now quiet to understand, to get the subject, arrive at the tatparya. To that length, my mind has to be internally quiet. What are the factors that actually disturb my mind? Shastra says there are three sources of disturbance that can be placed. External means cosmic, elementals, like you have climate change entirely, symptoms of it. So there'll be forest fires, there'll be floods, there will be earthquake, there'll be some cosmic karan which you are not able to control at your end. You can only be a part of that experience. And obviously all these are kleshas. They are tapakaranam. They create dukham. They are the source of sorrow. So they disturb because they are creating disharmony. They are creating unrest. Cosmical forces. So shanti at that level. The second shanti is a shanti that can come from external sources just outside your body. It could be a neighbor, it could be loud music, it could be, I guess, virus if it's not an elemental thing, it could be a man-made thing if it's anything from the surrounding which is disturbing your pursuit of gaining the knowledge. If it doesn't pursue, it's not disturbance. So if the virus is not disturbing the pursuit, it's not a disturbance. But if it's disturbing the mind, that means now your mind is not quiet enough, shant enough to absorb the material and understand it as closely, correctly as possible. So external sources, it can be even in the world, wars, anything, man-made, but out of your control to some extent, but it is more man-generated. The third kind of a disturbance that stops a person from pursuing Atma Vidya is disturbances from within, centered on oneself. My mind is disturbed, my health is not up to it, my mind, I have a headache, or I have a stomachache, or I have a toothache, or I have a anger on someone, I am bitter on something, but मेरा मन अंदर से बहुत बेचैन है, restless है. Even then it will become a source of, I am myself a source of my disturbance. Shanti Pathaha means invoking Shanti. Just by saying it is obviously not going to happen. Therefore, this Shanti Patha is in the form of a prayer. A prayer which invokes Shanti. What is that prayer? This prayer in particular comes in the Krishna Yajurved. Krishna Yajurved, whatever Upanishads are there, this is the invocation in that, like Katha Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, it's Brahmananda Valli, Shvetara Upanishad, they will have this Shanti Patha. And the beautiful factor about this, or feature of this is, this Shanti Patha is done by the teacher and the acharya, shishya together. They chant this together. Shankara has written a bhashyam on this, and wherever the context comes, he says, shishya acharya saha. Together we are first going to invoke shanti, invoke grace, invoke anugraha, invoke what is this prayer going to be, which both of us are in need of, because we understand there can be so many reasons why I may miss the point. So interesting it is. If you are even in a college or you're in school and you've been very attentive throughout the class, but you miss one point. And that point was therefore. After the whole class, the teacher was just saying therefore, this, and you miss that therefore. तुम्हारा मन कहीं और चला गया. But exactly at that sentence, your mind went off somewhere. Now the whole 40 minutes, 45 minutes that you heard, uska conclusion was therefore this. And within those few split seconds, your mind had gone from within to something else. It could be a noise from the neighboring desk, it could be the bell, it could be hunger from within, it could just be rain splashing suddenly everywhere. But that split moment, your mind went. And because of that, now you are not you miss the point. So a teacher can also miss a point. Exactly while you're saying, kuch ho sakta. In other words, just to make it very short, there can be many reasons why we miss the point in Vedanta. Again, I'm repeating, what is the purpose of the study of Vedanta? Tatparya nishchaya. If my focus is not on tatparya nishchaya, and it's not one day, it is not a one class that I have to do tatparya of, it is the entire study till my tatparya comes to the fact I am able to understand doubtlessly the topic of Brahman, and that Brahman is me. Till then, my inquiry has to continue, for which I need a shant manah. So this Krishna Yajurvedi Shanti mantra, done both by acharya and shishya, both together, is what we will first see in details a little bit, because as a prayer done, it is what is, you will see as you start seeing the meaning in it, you start registering why it is so important to be fixed. Like in Tattvabodh, we said that first, Nityam Shuddham Nirakaram. Every day morning you get up, it's an assertion of your Brahma Vidya. In the same way, over here, this together in earnestness with meaning to your own self as much as uncovered. It has, we can see another time, but let me do this first. You see, you will hear the lines Nije and Upar. Saha, Sa has a line at the bottom. Navavatu, Na has a line on top. These are swaras. This being Veda mantra, entire Ved, we all have heard this commonly, was Shruti, heard. It was heard. And as a heard knowledge, preserved it by holding it in swaras, chanting it. Many people, when we started Gita Parayanam, and even now, people sometimes keep asking, Kya fayda? You are in Vedanta. Why do you need to do Parayanam? Shabda. Ved is not a book. If the Shabda is not held, you will lose knowledge. And Shabda is not held, Shabda held at the tongue. Vacharambhanam, another Upanishad will say. It's held in the tongue. Which means when I utter the word, that the word is knowledge to the one who is hearing it. It is what is knowledge to the one who's hearing it, because this knowledge is pramana bhut. It's pramanam. As in color and form, this is pramanam. Ved is entirely a pramanam for your own self-knowledge and held in word. These words were chanted. Parayanam. Patha means bar usko uchcharan karna, usko kehna. That uchcharan of it, which has to be done how? A way the Pathi would know the best. This is the only mantra, popular now, which has still got its swaras intact, because it's in Taittiriya Upanishad, and Taittiriya Upanishad swaras are still here. Most of the Vedas is lost. Why? Because the oral tradition of it is what was lost. So we don't have the swaras, we have the word in written form, but when it is in the written form, you will realize that you may get an intellectual meaning of it, you may understand but that understanding will always be paroksh. Paroksh means it's distant from you. You are not connecting it to yourself. You are not the topic of it. Oh, is there a voice breaking? Is there a voice breaking for you people?
Yes, a little bit.
Yes, Deepti ji.
Oh, I guess I can't help it then. Probably my internet. Apologies. Okay, it's fine now. Great. As long as we're getting the tatparya. Okay, so this mantra with the swara niche and upar, I have not learnt it from a Vedic Ganapati, so I am not an authority on how it's chanted. I'm only giving the information at the moment so that at least you have the correct information. In Vedanta, we chant it in a particular tune without the swaras. But I will do the swara individually as best as I can. And if you just hear it, you will see the difference. Om is Om, everybody knows. Sa being down, intonation niche. Sa, ha, na, va, va, tu. Sa, ha, nau, bhu, nak, tu. Sa, ha, वीर्यं कर्वावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ऐ ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. I don't know about how many of you, but even if you do single syllable in the correct intonation, there will be a certain orientation to the mind. I don't know how sensitive you are to sounds, how sensitive people are to sounds today because of such a crowded environment around us and artificial noises. But ideally speaking, if it is done in this meter, as is chandas, it will have a inversion automatically without you knowing it, a mental inversion without you knowing it. But since this technique is not there with us, we just chant it. But when we chant it now, we chant it with as best a meaning and intention as we can fix, and we make that acceptable in Vedanta, because Vedanta frees itself from all kinds of karma, but as adhikaris, we don't free ourselves from any kind of limitation, disciplined limitation. So I will chant this once, and anybody who wants to join me, practice after me.
Sure, Deepti ji, I'll be happy to.
Sorry, who said that? Akanksha. Okay.
Akanksha. हाँ जी.
Yeah. Om Sahana Vavatu.
Om Sahana Vavatu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahanau Bhunaktu.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Sahaviryam Karavavahai.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Tejasvinavadhitamastu.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Ma vidvishavahai.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
There are just two things that have to be noted over here. Viryam, that dot on top, that is to be chanted in the nasal of the ka varga, ka, kha, ga, gha, nga, because it's followed by ka. Viryam karavavahai. That's more
Viryam.
grammatically.
हाँ जी. Yeah.
But It can also be optionally chanted as Viryam. That's okay. But we will try and do it. Viryam karavavahai.
वीर्यङ्करवावहै.
And the second thing is two dots here after Shanti, the Visarga, followed by Sh, gets the sound of a half Sh. So instead of saying Shanti, 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 we are saying Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Only the last Visarga gets sounded. Okay? So I'll quickly go to the meaning. Okay. Now just to get the meaning of this, Saha, Om is the Mangala Charanam, Mangal, auspicious, the Shabda which covers the entire range of all sounds. And in Mandukya Upanishad, you really see the details of it. I'm not going to go into the details at this point, because at this point, what is relevant in the Vedantic initial stage of study is you understand this as an auspicious Mangala Ucharana Shabda. It invokes Mangalam. Why it invokes Mangalam? We'll see this another time. Saha. Saha means together. Who together? Saha now avatu. Now is both of us together. Avatu. Avatu means protect. Avatu is the verb whose meaning is rakshane. Raksha karna. Avadhatu is raksha. So when we are chanting this, Om is representing Ishvara now. भगवान, ईश्वरा, गॉड, whatever term you want, Allah, जो भी नाम आपको देना है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. Something that you attribute, you understand that it is something which has more universal power than you yourself have. You attribute to that. गाने के लिए Om is the word over here. You are praying to that. Together, may we be protected. May He protect us. Avatu means in the form of saying, protect us. Protect both of us. While we are in the transaction of this Vidya, may you protect us. Protect is in what form? You take it in a Laukik sense, in a general sense. Protect your situation, protect your health, protect your family, protect my desire to learn. It can protect wherever you think you can. Basically means protect me in every way possible. He says, Gyan nimit ke liye mujhe jo bhi protection chahiye. Nimit means whatever becomes the means for my knowledge. And take me away from it, protect me from it completely. Desire the teacher and the student both have. The teacher says, protect me so that I can communicate till the end. Facilitate me, let my voice not go, let my health not go, let my situation not go off, let my interest not go off, let me not develop so much vairagyam that I will not be interested in teaching. You see, so that is also some sort of a protection. But if I develop vairagyam, then I'm not interested in teaching also. Because why should I teach now? Etc. So protect this transaction. How valuable it is. The teacher and the student both understand. The student understands because this is a source of my vidya. This is where Atma Vidya is sourced. I need to have this sustained learning till I learn it full. So protect in every form. Then Sahanau Bhunaktu. Bhunaktu means, it's again another verb, which a lot of time is taken as eating, one of the meanings. But here it is also another word for protecting, in the sense of nourishing. While I'm being protected, nourish me with knowledge. And laukikally it means nourish my situation, nourish my world. Nourish me means provide me with everything that's needed. Provide the teacher and me both. Means the teacher says provide my student and me both with everything that's needed till this knowledge is delivered. Means bhunaktu, nourish us. Also till the end, because that nourish means give us the gyan phal. Let my gyan be conclusive, that it gives me the phal. I know what's the phal, I already stated it. What's the phal of gyan in Vedanta? Moksha. Before that, all the clarity that comes for self-development, that is the nourishing part. Nourish my situation, let there be, let me not struggle for anything, let the teacher not struggle for anything. Both of us, let us enjoy leisure, a peaceful inner leisure in which we can involve our minds into learning that is, I'm personally using the word, that's how it means to me, is extraordinary. It's an extraordinary learning. So may we enjoy it, may we learn it, may we have the benefit of it till the end. And nourish means, when you eat the food and it nourishes your body, you get some strength out of it. That's called nourishing. That means let the knowledge nourish me, and that nourishing means I enjoy it also. Both of us enjoy. That means the teacher says, let me enjoy the transaction. Let it not become a burden. Let it not become a drudgery. Let it not become a heaviness on me. Let it not tire me. Let it not exhaust me. I should enjoy teaching. It's self-learning also. And the student said, I should also enjoy the learning, look forward. Both of us say, let's look forward to the learning process. Bhunaktu. Saha viryam karvavahi. Both of us, may we both acquire the capacity, to gain strength. Viryam. May the knowledge that we learn give us strength, have strength to study and to absorb the knowledge. Shankara says here very beautifully, he uses the word for viryang. He says, very nice words, just get the sanskar of it even if you don't understand. I'll go very slowly. Sanskrit is almost absorbable. You hear it if it's said, it's very close to Hindi, and get the meaning direct. Vidya sampadane samarthyam. Vidya sampadane. To collect, have the samarthya, the capability. May I get the strength. Shankara's meaning of viryam is samarthyam. Whatever samarthyam is required, that means if I need, the teacher says I need to speak articulately, let me have the samarthyam. Logically, presentably, let me have the samarthyam. Student says I need to understand, let me have the samarthyam, understand. Vidya nimittam samarthyam. Whatever is required, up to the point. शास्त्र विद्या तो जितना इंटरेस्ट है उतना आप सीखोगे उसको. So in that sense, up to whichever point I have interest in, I must have samarthyam to absorb that knowledge. And we have the tejasvi. Now adhitam astu. Earlier, whatever I have studied, tejasvi. May it make me a tejasvi. Both of us are saying that. May it make us brilliant, not brilliant as in halo and aura. May our buddhis shine with clarity. When you have clarity, there is this inner vigor. When you have, जब कुछ समझ में आता, जब समझ में नहीं आता है कुछ भी, तो what happens to our expressions? going back a little, supposing you were to call me, I want to do that experiment. One of you please volunteer to call me an idiot. Though I know it, I'm doing it myself, so I may not have it, but if one of you would please, I don't want to do that. So if you call me an idiot. कहो कोई भी नहीं कहे. Okay. So if you are said an idiot, unless प्यार से कोई कुछ कह रहा है, but if you really mean idiot, जो सुनता है उसको भी कैसा expression होता है? That's not tejasvi. The minute you are given a word which is pleasing, which is understandable, which is enjoyable, which makes sense to me, there is this inward happiness. Makes you tejasvi, brilliant, not for the sake of acquisition of information, not for the sake of acquisition of knowledge. You have connected it to yourself. The context was yourself. और जो पढ़ाया है वेदांता ने वो मुझे मेरे कॉन्टेक्स्ट में समझ में आ गया. That makes me tejasvi. That tejasvi now adhitam means what I'm studying should not be like, when we school में संस्कृत पढ़ाते हैं. So most of us I had the terrible misfortune of having a Sanskrit teacher who herself did not want to glorify the knowledge. She taught the students that it was only for marks. So Ramaha Ramo Ramaha Ramam Ramo Rama. You are just supposed to roto everything. So when you do a roto of everything, you have some people who like to think have no interest in the subject. You lose interest because I am not interested in anything. So I need to know, I need to understand. If you don't explain to me, I have no interest in it. I'll pick up the subject that explains. So adhitam means what in Vedanta? Let me not just cover ground after ground after ground, एक text, दूसरा text, तीसरा text, सबको जो ना अब ये पढ़ लिया, ये पढ़ लिया, ये पढ़ लिया, ये भी पढ़ लिया, ये भी पढ़ लिया. And what happens at the end? That adhitam must make me tejasvi. The student says, and the teacher also says, because you are not teaching something which pertains to inert things. What is transacted is, there's a very thin line between a teacher and a student here, because the topic for both of us is us, me. So that being a very thin line, it's hardly there, which means both of us are saying, this transaction that we are going to enter into now, it's a transaction. That transaction should be unaktu, enjoyable. It should be something that is going to give us strength, and give us strength as in maybe have that strength to go through this learning, and it must make me tejasvi. Brilliant means not with arrogance, it must shine in me. It must be clear in me. Then the last sentence, ma with vishavahai. Maybe not have hatred for each other is the literal translation. Just to be uncomfortable with the word, I have translated as maybe not argue with each other, because that's more in the context of learning. But this is a Vedic mantra. In the Vedic mantra it says, may we not hate each other. May there be not dvesh in the transaction. And that also Shankara gives a very beautiful meaning of Mavit Vishavahi. He says, Vidya Grahana Nimittam. While in the process, whatever is the nimitta for Vidya ke grahan ke liye, Shishyasya Acharyasya va. Shishya ka ya acharya ka. Pramada kritat. Because of pramada, I will explain what pramada is. Because of pramada, anyayat, with dveshaha praptaha. There will be this unfair, illogical, response when someone doesn't understand something correctly, एक emotional response, एक confusion का response, it can be both ways. The Shastra Adhyayanam says, we say, let there be no such coming from pramad. Pramad means actually dullness. Born from tamas, it's a laziness. Pramad. I'll give you an example of pramad. I think I purposely kept it here. Maybe it's in the following slide somewhere. If I have to make it articulate, say Sahana Vavatu in transliteration has the entire transliteration. Na Vavatu means it has an eki matra on top. But if I have pramad, I don't want to go through this too much of typing and too much of. I'll just say it. Sahana Vavatu, please understand this is na. Now what is that? My pramad. Why? Because I needed to put that effort so that the listener is able to understand it without doubts. A teacher can have pramad and a student obviously can have pramad because interest aata jata hai, whatever. Means in other words, the person doesn't want to, has dvesh, it slowly over a period of time develops dislike, develops dvesh, and dvesh also has a counterpart like we did. The counterpart of dvesh is rag. So it can develop too much of attachment, too much of rag for a person or for a subject, almost becoming fanatic. So maybe not have this. The transaction needs to be kept pure, without infiltration of any subjectivity. That is called ma with vishavahi. May we not have hatred for each other. And then 3 shantis, as I have explained, 3 sources: Adidaivik, cosmic; Adibhautik, external; and Adhyatmic, internal. May we have shanti at all 3 levels. Okay, is this meaning absolutely clear? I will chant it once just by myself so that you hear it. And every class, before we start the class, we will be chanting this invocation in as earnestness and as a prayer to offset also our lack of swaras modifications. So with this we start Upadesha Sara, and as I just said, this is not in the technical sense of a Vedanta course. This is out of it. I am purposely including it in my teaching so-called syllabus because I feel that Vedanta gets learnt better when you are able to understand the overview of Vedas and how it connects, how you can connect the knowledge to your self-growth, and what are the tools you have for your self-growth that Veda administers. So in the Jnanakand, in Vedanta, what was the course we said? It was Brahma Sutra. Vyakhyans are all the bhashyams and everything. Brahma Sutras written by Vyasa, also explanation of all the Upanishads, the important points that come there which have doubts from other schools of thoughts. And there are many Upanishads in the Vedas, but Shankara has commented on 10, so they are called Mukhyam, and they are considered to be enough material for a Jignasu or a Mumukshu to get information about Atma Vidya. And then there's a Smriti Grantha, Bhagavad Gita. This is very, very popular. And then we have the fourth, which is a Panda Grantha. And the uniqueness of Prakarna Grantha, we said, was that it covers only one or two topics of Prakarnam. And the main Prasthana Trayi, that three, Trayi means three, is Brahma Sutra, Upanishad, and Bhagavad Gita. Upanishads are not Paurushayam. They are not written by a human intellect. Brahma Sutra and Bhagavad Gita coming in as an Itihasa in Mahabharata is Vyasa, Vishala Buddhe, who is kind of explaining away in these what is the correct vision of Upanishads. Introductory, like Tattva Bodha we did, introducing the entire topic. It could be introducing the entire topic. It could be introducing only one of the factors of the thing, like Vairagya Shatakam would include only Vairagya pertaining verses. Bhaj Govindam is only Vairagya pertaining verses. In that sense, you have different ways in which you have Prakarna Granthas. Whole topic could be covered, or methodology, one topic could be covered like Drik Drishya Viveka, or one of the Anubandha Chatushtayams is exclusively dealt with, like in one of the topics is dealt with. It should be Sadhana Chatushtayams, like here, Bhaj Govindam. But the important thing that qualifies it as a Prakarna Grantha is that its Anubandha Chatushtayam does not vary with the Shruti, which means the Upanishad. Anubandha Chatushtayam, just for revision, we have done this all in Tattvabodh. The Anubandha Chatushtayam means it has four factors. Adhikari, Prayojanam. Adhikari means for. Vishaya means what is the topic of that. Prayojan means what is the purpose of this text. Because Prakarna Grantha means now it's written by someone. It's Paurushayam. तो उसका प्रयोजन क्या है उस टेक्स्ट का? मतलब supposing I am writing something and my prayojan is for yash, fame, popularity, or I can't think of anything else, or making money. Now, if such is the prayojan of the author, then it doesn't fall into a Prakarna Grantha. So, what is the prayojan of the text and what is the sambandha? This is a very important factor. The sambandha has a lot of sambandhas between adhikari and vishay. It can be sambandha between vishay and prayojan, and adhikari and prayojan. Mostly in Vedanta, Shankara gives a sambandha between Veda Purva Bhag and Veda Anta Bhag. I hope we are clear on this fundamental. Covered a lot in Tattvabodh. Veda Purva Bhag is the entire Karma Kanda Bhag. Veda Anta Bhag, just what we saw, Prasthana Trayi, principally Upanishads, which is Veda Anta. Anta doesn't mean end of the Veda. Topic in the Veda, which karmas that are spoken of in Vedas and Vedanta. That I am Brahman and that I am supposed to do this karma. They are two contradictory things. How do I reconcile these two statements? Same Veda at one point tells me do your karmas. Same Veda in Upanishad tells me you are Brahman, you are free of all karma. Sarva karma sannyas is your adhikara. What am I to follow? So there must be a sambandha. What is that sambandha between Veda Purva and Veda Anta? Is Anubandha Chatushtayam. And if any Prakarna Grantha covers these four topics and that Anubandha Chatushtaya is the same as those of the Upanishads, then it gets qualified to be called a Prakarna Grantha. It falls into the course, it falls into the study there. Upadesha Sara, actually without stating, has the same Anubandha Chatushtayam. And therefore it can be qualified as a Prakarna Grantha. I am not going to give you this, but at the end of the book, remind me, I will ask you this question at the end of the text, God willing. If you find the prayojanam, adhikari, vishaya, prayojanam, sambandha of this text same as that of Shruti, what do you find them as? So this is just to say that Upadesha Sara becomes a means for learning also. Just giving an overview again, just as a Ved is into two sections, Veda Purva and Veda Antabhag, Ramana Maharshi in this book has also kept the book into two sections. First, about 13 to 15 verses are entirely dealing with Veda Purva, and the rest, the 15 to 30 verses, are dealing with Vedantic part. To start off with, what is the first Veda Purva Bhag? Just a quick overview again. Verse 1 and 2 are doing the refutation of Purva Mimamsaka thinking. Who's a Purva Mimamsaka? We'll do this tomorrow. But in a short sentence, the one who holds rituals by their soul. मतलब मर जाएंगे लेकिन हम छोड़ेंगे नहीं कर्मों को. कर्म ही सब कुछ है. मतलब चाहे हमारे जान निकल जाए या तुम्हारी निकल जाए. In the process of supporting me to do this, I don't care, I don't bother. कर्मा वेद ने कहा है कर्म करना है तो करना है. My daily duties have to be done. Period. And they take it as an absolute for everyone. They do not consider the fact that there could be some people who may have grown out of it. Maybe it's redundant. No, Veda has said it means it has to be done. Everybody should do it. If you're not doing it, you are incurring papam. That is general outline of a Purva Mimamsaka. Means he holds karmas to his core of his being. So, verse 1 and 2, Ramana is very gently, as Ramana was, as Ramana is. I'll go a little more tomorrow. A very gentle correction he does of saying that karmas by themselves mean nothing because there is a ordainer of that karma. There is a controller of that karma. Niyam kisi ke andar aate hain. If the government makes laws, they come under someone. There is one who has made a law. So by themselves, these laws don't execute. There is an executioner of the law. So 1 and 2 is saying karmas by themselves are ineffective without the source from where this gets controlled, and that source here in the context of karma will be Ishvara. Verse 3 is going to say definitely doesn't mean karmas are redundant. Give it up. Karma is beneficial for spiritual growth only, but when it is done with a particular attitude. And that has to be clear to the person. What is this attitudinal shift I need to make in doing karma? So verse 3 is going to assert karma is useful. Verse 4 to 11 is going to say how to convert sakama karma to nishkama karma. 5, 6 and 7 is going to give the definitions of what is actual japa, puja and chintanam, which are in the real sense, what are they? 7 to 9, 7, 8 and 9 are going to talk about upasana. Verse 10 will talk about the aim of all spiritual practices. Verse 11 and 12 will talk about pranayam. Verse 13 will say about 2 ways in which you can subdue the mind. And verse 14 and 15 will talk about what brings mano laya and what gives mano nasha. जब तक ये नहीं समझ में आएगा, in my personal view, Vedanta is you're moving in shadows. Supposing you are going out on a trek in a hill station in this kind of a weather where it's foggy. And because it's foggy, or every step you have to be very careful. You don't know where the path is. That foggy is an adventure in itself for sure, but it comes with a lot of risks. It may be adventurous for a little while, but that adventure can't hold for long because you need to know where are you going. You need to see the road clearly. Manolaya and Manovinasha, unless and until someone has clarity on these terms, you can live janmantara, janma antara, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. It is all Manolaya and Prabhavaha, Mano Prabhavaha, Manolaya, Mano Prabhavaha. Temporary respite is not what Vedantic Shastra talks about. So, this is what is going to be the general outlook of this. More in details I will continue tomorrow. Now the emphasis will shift, being Ramana Maharshi's own words. These are his words. As I have said in the book also, I think most of you already know it. I don't want to, but I'm going to follow this book. And in this book, there is the last few pages are given as to chant, but it is there in Ramana's writing in Tamil. It's not here because I couldn't print it, but it is his words. And why his words are essential and important, I'll just take a minute more. Because someone has a digested knowledge of the words, and the wisdom is extracted and is connected to oneself. Those words, even if they are very simple, they are jnana-janya. Because they're coming from anubhav. They're coming from one's own personal experience of recognition of what the knowledge was talking. What was learned in the objective way is now known in a subjective way. And then when you talk of this, there's a world of a difference. And those words have another impact on a person. And Ramana is one of those. We are blessed probably because at least our previous generation may have had access. There is someone whom you can connect to verify that the spiritual path is valid. Because we have many in the world who would have knowledge, but there will be one rare who would have it condensed as tatparya. So Ramana becomes that beacon light for every inspiring person, a mumukshu. Shankara is in the form of knowledge, gives clarity. Ramana is a person who, even if he didn't have all that intellectual exposure in the prakriya form, the words he has said, enough and more. After so many years also, every person who studies, Vedantic teacher who studies also, understands that it is absolutely in alignment with Vedantic knowledge. The difference is we know it and we just know it. Ramana was, he knows it and he is it. He is the words. He is it. So it inspires and it shows us that the process is possible. So with this, I will conclude the class. Later on, we may add another invocation so that by the time, if Gita starts, you have some more invocation. For now, we'll just do this general chanting. Om Sarvesham Swastir Bhavatu Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschit dukha bhag bhave. So Hari Om everyone. Oh, I again forgot to record. Yes, I forgot to record. Thank you very much. We will take it from book. But for whoever wanted to join and hasn't joined, this is going to be just 30 verses. So I do hope latest by May, knowing that I go into little more details than necessary sometimes. So I'm giving myself a little extra few weeks, but I hope that by May, somewhere we will conclude the text and you should have more clarity about self growth and how to approach it. So we'll see you tomorrow, everyone. Thank you and
Thank
stay
you,
safe.
Deepti ji.